is out of control. Oh man, that was kind of funny how we kind of segued into a topic without actually like having a topic or whatever. We're just like, I guess we're talking about old video games now. And it just kind of stayed in that. Because I was like, well, I was going to talk about Tarantino or whatever, but
I guess we're on this path.
yeah. I'll save Tarantino for when George and Jeff are here because they'll like to talk about that too. Yeah. Because I want to also hear like, you know, what their opinions of like Death Proof is and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah. I also, I'll mention it then too, but I watched all the Taika Waititi movies too. So he's only done 6 movies.
Yeah.
But, and the more recent ones were Hunt for the Wilder People, Jojo Rabbit, and For Ragnarok. Before that, he did What We Do in the Shadows. He did Boy, and he did Eagle versus Shark. Those Eagle versus Shark is kind of like if Napoleon Dynamite was like a melodrama around nerds and stuff. It's basically shot the same way, but it's not as funny. It's just more of like, oh, this is kind of, ooh, I feel bad for these people, kind of like in a cringy way because it's very nerdy nerds, right. You know, and they're just like, but like watching it, like, you know, Taika Waititi and Tarantino, both of them, like when I watch their movies, I can't look away. Like I don't know what it is. I didn't even think Taika Waititi pretty much does comedies. Like those are like the only things he really does. They're like comedy dramas. The first 3 aren't funny. They're not very funny. They're like, I mean, well, What We Do in the Shadows is pretty funny, but it wasn't quite laugh out loud funny until like a couple of scenes or whatever. But like the way they're like told and stuff like that, I just can't look away. Like there's both. They both had the same mindset of like, hey, let's just show people, you know, that's what I love about their movies is just like, you know, let people just be people, have a conversation, talk normally or whatever. And it's so like, you wouldn't think of it, but it's just like, yeah, that's kind of interesting when you watch it and stuff like that, because it's like, whoa, can relate because this is how a normal conversation would sound.
Well, I think it's the same thing with how I'm enjoying like some of these light novels and novels. It's because some people, when they write their isekai main character in the novel, they make them somewhat grounded that you can relate to and just having like a normal conversation and trying to make sense of it.
Right.
And then some of them just go full cliche and just like, this would never, like, you would never think this way.
Because I'm like, just like watching them and I'm just like, you know, Tarantino, Taika doesn't really have these as much, but Tarantino has like long, like 8-10 minute long scenes or whatever with just people having a conversation. I'm thinking of like Death Proof, where they're in the diner. It's the second group, right? And they're in the diner, and it's literally he's doing the pan around shot that he did in Reservoir Dogs. We're around the table or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's a reference. And then I'm watching it, and I'm just so engaged. I'm just like, these characters are the best, and they're gonna die because this is how is how the story's gonna go. Just like, spoilers, they don't.
So it's like in Hateful Eight and the first meeting at the carriage. They're trying to explain where they're going, what they're doing, what's going on. It's like 20 minutes or like 30 minutes, a whole like chapter. 30
minutes before they even make it to the barn or the
they're
house.
Just talking at this carriage to figure out who's who, what's going on, what's the plan,
who's not doing even half the cast yet.
And they're just like all like explaining their backstory and just like, we're not even like what you advertised about the story.
I also didn't know that was Zoe Bell or Zoe Hall. I don't remember her last name, but I didn't realize that was her. And then when I watched Death Proof, I was just like she seems familiar. Who is she? And then I saw that and I was just like, what? Those are like completely different characters. Well, in Death Proof, she's literally playing herself.
Tarantino reuses a lot of actors. So.
I love more often than not when he appears in the movies, because it's just like, in Reservoir Dogs, I think it would have been better if Mr. Brown and Mr. Blue switched spots. If Mr. Blue was the driver and died, and it was just like Tarantino shows up at the beginning, never see him again. That would have been so much better. And when in Pulp Fiction he shows up, and it's just like, this is perfect. This is what I want to see you as, or whatever.
I just like that he can get actors you don't expect. Like a lot of the cast in Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
Like
yes, with what's his face? The guy from The Office. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, the other Italian guy.
Yeah, and it was just like,
I was speaking Italian. Exactly.
yeah.
You're the third best Italian speaker. Well, it's just like he also. So I think the Jew Bear, or whoever, the guy who was smashing Hitler's face at the end and just shooting into the crowd. That's Eli Roth. That's another movie director. And he's done a lot of like horror movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because he's done I can't remember the name of it, but
in that one, Brad Pitt was the star. Right?
Yeah, Brad Pitt was
gotcha.
the star,
I'm like, that was him, right?
But like Michael Fassbender was in it. He was the British officer.
Okay. Oh, the one in the bar scene.
Yeah, the one because he holds the 3 wrong.
Yeah. Right.
That's Michael Fassbender.
Like, I'm still like that one has like the 2 best scenes out of like all of them.
The German woman, that's National Treasure.
What?
Yeah, the girl from National Treasure.
Wow, really?
Yeah, she's German. Like, she's actually German.
Man, like I was watching them. I think Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction don't really have as much gore as like the rest of them. I think those are the least, like, I was like surprised at how little gore there was or whatever. And I think some of the later ones were had quite a bit, except for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. That one had the most satisfying fight scene, you could say, or whatever. Like I was like, woo, let's go. Come on.
We went to go see it. It was I think the lock-in was happening at the church. And me, George, and Ben were like, hey, we're going to go watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and come back.
I remember this.
It was like 1 a.m. when we went to go see it.
That one was surprisingly like one of the, I didn't think I was going to like it as much or whatever.
Like, that one's cool too because it's based on like a true story.
Yeah. Like an actual true story.
Yeah.
I know. So like what I would do, since I was buying these or whatever, I was watching the like deleted scenes in the Tarantino, like talking about it or whatever, like the interview with him about it and stuff. And like the kind of stuff like that he like does, like there was Reservoir Dogs, right? Watching the deleted scenes, there's one scene in it where what's his face? I don't want to spoil it or anything, but Mr. Orange is talking about something or whatever. He's like talking to 2 people or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a deleted scene or whatever, and he's talking to him about something that's going to happen or whatever. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys, the guy who's like teaching him how to act or whatever and stuff like that, he starts saying like, oh yeah, like from Harry Potter, from like, or like just trying to be like, this one girl saying something or whatever, and he's like making fun of her, and then like the Mr. Orange is just like, man, will you shut the F up? Yeah. It's the most genuine sounding, like I've never heard it like sound that genuine before until that scene, and it's not even in the movie.
Yeah, right.
I was just like I thought someone was in the room saying it. Like, it was so genuine. I was just like, that is how people say that. Yeah. Because he's like laughing at the same time. Like, while he's like, man, will you shut up?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's like, it didn't even make the movie, right? Mm-hmm. But it was so perfect. Yeah. Like, here's me saying, oh yeah, so like throwing all these swear words is perfect. Yeah.
Dude, some of the stuff he has to do to his actors too to get them like comfortable.
Yeah.
Like Django Unchained.
Oh my goodness.
They were saying like he had to get Samuel L. Jackson and a bunch of other them to like get the people comfortable to like say the N-word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was an interview where Samuel L. Jackson was being interviewed for, I think it was Hateful Eight, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, he's talking to that one guy.
Yeah, and he's just like, there's been some talk about like, you know, the large use of the N-word in this one. Nope. Nada. None. Which N-word are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't want to say it. He's like, come on, say it, man. He's just like, no, man, I can't say it. He's like, say it or we're not talking this conversation. He's like, well, can you say it first? No, I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, I remember that interview. Yeah.
Say it. We're gonna bleep it out anyway.
Yeah. I remember it was with who's the slave owner? Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And in Django Unchained.
I don't doubt he had a hard time.
He was so uncomfortable just like saying the word.
Right. I don't know if I could.
He said he felt so terrible saying the word that it's like he had to like pump him up and get him ready.
Right. Like, come on. Dude, like, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when he's playing a character who is pumping himself up to play a character, it's like, that was like I'm just like, get into the mindset of this, right?
Yeah.
You're playing a character who is playing a character, but you're supposed to not play the character quite up to the snuff, but we need you to play him more later on.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay, let's wrap this. Let's get our minds around this, right? Yeah. I'm an actor.
So you're going to act person B, but that person B has to act person C, but not at 100%.
Yeah, not at 100% yet. Yeah. Not yet.
Yeah.
But then when we get to there, then you're going to be 100%. Yeah. It's just like, oh, like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And
it's
it was
wild.
Yeah.
Wait, even like where the scene where he's talking to the girl, who is a girl who is an actor girl, who is now.
Who were we talking about?
So he gets that role in the show, and he's talking to that little girl. Yeah, he's talking to the little girl, and it's like how prepped that little girl has to be because she's playing a character who is now going to be acting as another character within the show.
Yeah,
or the movie.
It's just like, man, even she did like a real good job or whatever. Which, to be fair, she got to like, smile and laugh a lot for that part or whatever, which is a little bit easier. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, because it's like whenever you have to keep a straight face, that's when things kind of get a little harder or whatever. Because it's just like everyone in the room knows it's fake. Mm-hmm. But we got to convince everyone that it's not fake. Yeah. So that's like the mindset that's going on. So it's just like, I know from like, the little bit of acting I've had to do. Whenever you have to do like something serious or whatever, it's hard to not laugh.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like always thinking about laughing all the time because I'm just like, it's funny. Like this isn't real. Haha, tee or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I've also, as been doing some directing or whatever, I've had to actually talk to people and like convince them about this. It's just like, dude, if you can't convince yourself that what you're saying is real, then how are you going to convince anyone else or whatever? And it's,
I mean, that's what they had to do. So during high school, we have a school come in, like a university kind of school. School come in and put on a play for us that we all act in. I had one line in there,
right?
And they had to like pump me up to get me ready for it. I was just like, I really don't want to do it, but they had to like convince me to do it.
Come on, man, say the N word.
It was a Civil War movie or something like that.
Oh man!
And no, it was Civil War, Revolutionary War. I'm pretty sure it was Revolutionary War. And basically, the scene I was in was there's a soldier. Two of the main characters are like down here. Mm-hmm. One of the soldiers is dying, and one's talking to him, and the one that's dying is singing a song. So I have to come in the middle of the song while like I have to pretend like a war is going on in the background, and I have to yell orders to another guy.
Oh man!
So they had to like prep me to get me ready for this. Is like because I was like, I really don't want to.
How old are you in this?
When I did it, I was like 15, 16.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was thinking younger.
Yeah,
I was just
but like they had to prep me and get me ready for this because they got me so ready that I still remember my lines to this day.
Right.
But it's just like they have to like you have to realize there's a war going on behind you. This dude over here is dying and singing a song.
Right. It's more of when you have to do acting or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to whoever's doing the part or whatever and stuff like that. The goal is, for starters, the goal is to get everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
That's the main goal. Let's get everyone on the same position, the same thing. Everyone's in the same scenario, right? And stuff like that. Then it's just like, all right, now you have to convince everyone else out there, all the audience, that this is going on. This is what's happening right now. Let's go.
I think that's the easier thing to do. It's just like convincing yourself that you're in that role.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just some dude yelling a line.
Right.
But then when they like explain the story to me and everything, I was like, okay, it makes a little more sense. So, like, I can feel myself getting in here, being hurried, trying to get this order out.
Yeah. Because it's just like, dude, if there's a war going on, you ain't gonna be like, hey, Captain says we're going move forces up ahead. Come on, let's go, everybody.
They wanted me to like run in there. They wanted me to like point at him and just like say like direct commands. Get this going.
Right. And like, you know what? Like, I don't even know I don't even know too much about it, but I'm already thinking of like ways it's just like, okay, like, yeah, you can run in there and you can like fumble over your lines and the guy can be like, what? And you can be like, the captain says this or whatever. Like that would even make it better because it's just like, you're like panicking. Like you're just like, hey, we gotta go. Yeah. Or whatever. Yep. And it's just like, because that's something that would actually happen, you know, it's just, it's so cool, you know, just seeing, knowing how things are put together, and then like being able to see like a finished product, and it's just like, well, I do know a lot of how this was done. But a lot of people watching it is just like, oh yeah, it's, you know, movie magic. That's how it's done.
Like it's really impressive to me. Especially, it's really convincing when you go to like live plays, like Broadway plays and stuff like that.
Oh,
the amount of effort they have to put in that to convince you, because it's all live in front of you.
Anything live in comparison, because like, I mean, making a movie is no small feat at all or whatever. But at least you don't have to, it's not like, well, if we mess it up this one time, it doesn't matter how much you practice. If you mess it up the one time, then it's
like a Broadway play. They've got an hour and a half, 2 hours to convince you there are these characters and not fudge it at all.
Because I was listening to Les Miserables again, the live performance of it. I'm just like, oh my goodness. The main guy, the power in his voice that he can just kind of keep going and like sing it all. Or whatever, like the I'm Jean Valjean or whatever, and it's just like, whoa, like, you gonna do that again next week?
Right? Yeah, or just like the Fan of the Opera, like a live Fan of the Opera.
Right.
Phenomenal. People know if they're people are really good. It's phenomenal.
I was mentioning to you the cantata that we did recently or whatever, and so it was the time that it actually happened. Like I noticed some small things. Not gonna point them out or anything. I noticed small things that happened that if you weren't quite paying attention, you would never notice them or whatever and stuff. But it was like, I was thinking of line wise, and I was just like, no lines were missed. Nothing was skipped. Everything felt like it was done at like a real perfect pace in comparison to like all the times we practiced where it's just like, okay, here's a little mistake here, but we're just practicing or whatever.
Right.
It's just like when crunch time came, everyone stepped up and did it. And that's, oh man, it's so satisfying when you get to see something come together like that or whatever.
It's also satisfying if it's like a subject matter that you like.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It's like I said, if it's subject matter you enjoy, it's a lot easier to get into, because like I'll say, I really like war movies, history and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
The war play was easier to get into.
Right.
Well, we did a play about I think it's called The Other Wise Man or something like that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it's about like
Is this a Christmas one?
No, so we did in high school. We did the plays around Christmas, so they're always kind of that themed.
Slightly like Die Hard.
Yeah. So and obviously I went to a Christian school, so there was a lot of very Christmas related biblical plays.
Right.
There was one that was like The Other Wise Man. It's just like I couldn't get into it because it's like it's not like an actual Bible story. It's just like a retelling of a Bible story. It's just like it wasn't exactly everything else. It was just like it's like
the Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah, it's like I'm not feeling this. I'm not getting into it. I'm not enjoying it as much.
It's just like, when did the little drummer boy go and meet Jesus for the first time?
Right.
It's just like, well, he didn't.
So I was just like, I can't really get into this play. I hope they don't give me anything.
I hope they don't give me.
Yeah.
I hope they don't make me act in this.
I think I was just stage crew that year, so I didn't have to do anything.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's always because even as like a stage hand or whatever, you know, you can always feel some accomplishments. What was that?
Oh no. Battery. Oh. Well,
anyways, that one's still going.
Well, I guess we'll wrap this up quick then.
Oh yeah.
But I just to say the war movie was fun because one scene, it was like a crowded town scene.
Right.
And I was dressed up in like Victorian era style like suit. So I had like a vest, like a red undershirt, and like a tailcoat, and like a top hat.
Right.
But in the same play, I had to strip all that down and get into a Revolutionary War soldier uniform.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So stuff like that was fun. But like for the Other Wise Man play, we had to pretend there was an earthquake, and I had to like flip my table, and I had to help a blind man off the stage.
Come on, let's go.
I literally pointed at him and said, "Let's go, blind man."
Blind man, you and me.
Yeah,
Come on.
He was one of my good buddies at school. His name was Brent, and so he was just in the middle there. He was just like alms for the poor, and he had to like look around like he was blind. You know,
right.
And then like
I'll have a perfect
random earthquake happens. This is like you need your table to like flip or like move somehow. So it's like I couldn't get like when it was happening, I couldn't get it to do it on stage. I was like, okay, flip. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah. So like, if the subject matter is good, it's fun to get into the play. If it's not good, it's not probably going to be a good play.
Yeah.
At least for the people.
Because like I'm thinking of all the me and George did a lot of comedy ones, right? Because of the VBS or whatever. Yeah. So, and I think I've mentioned this before. We got to put in so much. We got to change so much of those or whatever. That if you look at the original one, you're just like, this isn't really the same thing. Mm-hmm. This is very different.
Right.
And like, you know, that's why a lot of the times like people will be like, oh, this was like, you know, most people just come to see them because that's just like, you know, they come to the full performance of it and stuff, and that's what they're anticipating. That's what most people are anticipating. They're not looking forward to it. They're like, oh, the kids can have the daily uploads or whatever. You know? We want the full thing. Give us the full thing.
Right.
And so it always feels like, because that's what all the adults want or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, if we did this how it was written, I don't think I would be liking them as much as much as they are right now. But it's like, man, something about whenever you get to put something together, you know, it's always so satisfying. And I think that's why I keep going. You know, I'm just like, editing BakaTaka is the same thing all the time, but I can make slight differences to it each time where it just feels like something new. Yeah. And it's I'm not going to lie, it's not really the funnest thing ever to do the same thing all the time.
Right.
It's fun to mix it up, and it's just like, all right, let's do something completely different this time. Right. Yeah, that's what keeps things fresh.
And one thing like recording it too is just like I can go in there and talk about what we want.
Yeah.
Be stupid.
Yeah. Because it's just like, man, it's like, especially now, because at first we were just like talking about anime the whole time or whatever. And now it's just like, yeah, we can talk. We haven't talked about anime in weeks.
Oh yeah. Because literally today we just talked about
video games,
Nintendo consoles.
Yeah.
Nintendo handheld consoles.
Nintendo handhelds. Yeah. And but that was. All right. We'll see y'all next time when George and Jeff are here. Bye.